Hello and welcome to the Oil Portal Data Management System. The purpose of this video is to provide an overview of the application to help you get started. First, let's log in. Enter your username and password. The oil industry is big and has a lot of moving parts. Today, though, we're going to spend most of our time with leases, joint ventures, and wells. After that, we'll cover the remaining parts of the system only briefly. Let's get started with leases. An oil and gas lease is a contract that gives another party an interest in mineral property. Leases are used to acquire acreage on which wells can be drilled for the purpose of extracting oil. Leases have a 12-character ID, a name, are usually owned by a joint venture, and have one or more wells on the property. In this application, a lease has two statuses, which may be confusing at first. First is the status field. This value is manually set and controlled by users in the system. It can be set to such values as active, producing, shut-in, and others. The other status field is simply known as the active status, and is always either active or inactive. It is important to note that a lease is considered active only when one or more wells on the property are themselves active. If no wells on the lease are active, then the lease itself is considered inactive. Therefore, this value on the lease is indirectly controlled by the statuses of the wells and cannot be set directly by a user. To create a new lease, click the New button as shown here. To edit a lease, you must first select it in the list and then click the Edit button. The Edit button always opens whichever lease is currently selected in the list. The Edit Lease screen has general information about the lease in the top half, while the bottom half has a series of tabs. To see the information in a tab, simply click its heading. Here you will find tabs for joint ventures, wells, mineral owners, assignments, provisions, acreage, and the transport log. More information about leases will be made available later. For now, let's go back to the main menu to talk about joint ventures. Joint ventures are legal entities in which two or more participants combine their expertise in order to share the risk, profits, and liabilities of one or more oil leases. Joint ventures have an AFE value, a ranking in production units, a memorandum date, which is the effective date, and an acreage value. However, the most important aspects to a joint venture are the individual participants, the leases involved, and the number of wells on those leases. To add a new joint venture, click the New button as shown here. To edit a joint venture, please select it first in the list and then click Edit. Just like leases, a joint venture has individual values in the top half of the screen and a set of tabs in the lower half. Click on a tab's heading to view the information in the tab. AFE pertains to joint ventures and stands for Authority for Expenditure. This is a budgetary document that is critical to the overall process. It is a good faith estimate for expenses involved with drilling to a certain depth. A check in this box indicates that an AFE has been administered and accepted by all parties to the joint venture. Let's go back to the main menu to talk about wells. As the name implies, a well is a shaft that is drilled into the earth for the purpose of extracting petroleum. Because it is a physical entity on land, it can only be assigned to one lease at a time. In this system, if a lease ID is not assigned, it is likely because it's being negotiated. Wells have a permit number, which is issued by the state, a set of Carter coordinates, and will be assigned to a specific tank battery, usually the one located closest to the well. To add a well, click the New button as shown here. To edit a well, it must first be selected in the list, then click the Edit button. As you can see, a well has lots of information associated with it. One of the most important goals of this application is to help keep track of all this information. On the right side of the screen, you will see a stack of command buttons. We will not go into these individually here, but rest assured that each one has a specific purpose and will be covered in detail later. For now, let's go back to the main menu and briefly go over the rest of the system. The main menu has a button for contacts, a button for well updates, a button for lease transport logs, a button for reports, and a button for administration. Click the Contacts button to manage joint venture participants, mineral owners, and contractors such as drillers, operators, and tool pushers. Click the Updates button to enter incoming information about a well from workers in the field. Note that updates are accessible from both the main menu as well as from the Edit Well screen. Click the Transport Log button to enter incoming information about the movement of petroleum and equipment associated with wells. Note that transport log entries are accessible from both the main menu as well as from the Edit Lease screen. Currently, the system is made up of 18 reports, all of which are accessible from the Reports button on the main menu. Note that the majority of reports come with their own dialog screen. The user is welcome to enter information into one, all, or none of the fields. Leave all of the fields blank on a report dialog screen if you wish to make the report run against all of the information in the database. Click the Administration button to edit system lookups and other information. Note that only designated administrators can manage user accounts from this screen. My name is Glenn Jester, and I'm the president of Jester Solutions.